I'll try to finish it this winter, but who knows. Hi and welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mathilde. I'm a French knitter and today I'm filming episode 14 of my knitting podcast. If you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. Today we've got a lot of things to go through. I haven't filmed a knitting podcast in more than a month and a half, I think, because of Vlogmas. I was doing weekly vlogs for Vlogmas in December, and I was also doing a bit of regular content, like my winter knitting plans, for example, but that was a lot of things to do. And so I did intend originally to film a knitting podcast in December, but then I didn't have enough energy and I just thought it would be better to wait until I had a little bit more energy, but that means I've got a lot of things to talk about and go through. It also means that I think even 1 month is a bit too long to wait to film a podcast, so I'm going to attempt to film a knitting podcast every 2 weeks, so hopefully every Fridays late afternoon for me. Don't know what time for you. I'm aiming to post at 5 p.m. every Friday. There might be a week here and there where I miss an upload just because sometimes I'll get busy in the weekends and won't have time to film, or I won't have time to finish editing before Friday, but I am trying. I really want to film and upload every single Fridays, and once every 2 weeks there'll be a knitting podcast, and then on the other once every 2 weeks there'll be either a vlog or a pattern roundup video. We'll see. Anyways, that's all for like the admin of this video. Let's just get into it. To be honest, because it's been so long, I don't even really remember what I was showing and everything to you guys last time, so I had to go back and watch I didn't really watch it, I just skimmed through it just to remember what I had talked about before, We've got quite a few finished objects, I think 5, but only one like big garment and then 4 accessories. But before we get into that, I just want to mention what I'm wearing, because in the last podcast I don't think it was blocked and it definitely didn't have buttons. So now it does, and I want to show it to you guys. This is my jacket number 2 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, which I knit using the recommended yarn, which was Jensen and Silk Mohair by Easier. The Jensen was in the colorway white, E0 I think, and the Silk Mohair was in the colorway 6. And I'm in love with it. This is really oversized. You may have seen this in my Everything I Knit in 2024 videos. If you've not seen that video and are curious, I'll link it somewhere. I didn't really mention it in that video, but this is really oversized. I think this has got way more positives than intended, just because I knitted a size medium. My bust circumference is 90 centimeters, so sometimes a pattern says, between 85 to 90 for one size and then 90 to 95 for another, and so I never know which one to pick. So sometimes I pick S and sometimes I pick medium. I picked medium for this, but this means this is like, I think I've got maybe 30 or even more centimeters of positives. It's a bit too much. I don't necessarily mind it. I love this cardigan, I wear it a ton, but just in the future I don't think I'll go for another cardigan with that amount of positives, since I have this one already. Let's just jump into the finished objects. I'll try to go in chronological order from when I started or finished it. Probably finished it, but we'll see. The first one I finished were these pair of fingerless gloves for my partner. I'll just go through the accessories quite quickly because we do have so much to talk about, but these are the Winter Essential mittens that I knitted for my partner. The Winter Essentials set is by Polo Strict or Susan Muller, and it contains patterns for a beanie in 2x2 ribbing, a neck warmer, fingerless mittens, and the mittens with the fingers. And so I chose to do these. I didn't block them because they're already a bit too big for him, and so he didn't want them to stretch out too much. So they're looking a bit rough, but this is how they look on me. Obviously they're too big, but they're for a man size, but even then for him it's a bit too big, so I think next time I would go down a pattern size. I knitted this using a yarn gifted to me by Hobby, which was the Unicorn Solid in the colorway Moss Green by Hobby. It was a lovely yarn to work with. I think it's superwash merino, but it does, as you can probably tell, peel a bit. It's nothing too bad, but just so you guys know. But it is really nice to wear. It's not scratchy to me and neither to him, I don't think. And yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. I've got plenty left over, which I do have to figure out what I'm gonna do with. Maybe I'll do a matching beanie next year or something for him. We'll see. So those. Then I think I knit and finished without even showing it on the podcast, the Hair Down Headband by Knit, who is my friend. This was a test knit that I did for her. This is how it looks. I'll put a picture of me wearing it as well because it'll just be easier to show. And this is a double knit headband with some increases and decreases around the back so that it fits really nice around the back of your head, and it's meant to be worn or like ideal to wear with your hair down, and so that you don't have like a weird bump at the back of your head, which I find that it doesn't. Mine turned out just a tiny bit smaller because I thought my gauge was tighter than it actually was, so I did go up a needle size, and I think I also took out 2 stitches of the pattern with the agreement of the designer, obviously. So I think mine turned out a little bit smaller than intended, which means that it just about covers my ears. I think next time I will just follow the designer's instructions. That was my bad. I really thought my gauge was tighter than, or like my gauge was looser actually than it was. But it's been really lovely. This is quite small, but it's actually a bit, takes you longer to knit than you think because it is double knit, and you do have some increases to do in the double knitting, which I don't know if you can really see, which was really fun to figure out how to do, and the decreases as well, but there's a link to a video to learn how to do that. And then my kitchen stitch isn't looking the best, especially here. I'm really bad at doing that, but you know, it's at the back so you can't see it with your hair down anyways. And yeah, I've been wearing it a little bit, especially when I put my bike helmet on. It's really handy because it does cover my ears, but it's not, you know, too thick. And yeah, it's a free pattern on Ravelry, so do check it out. It's really good, a good pattern, and it's a lovely accessory to have. I knitted mine in a sock yarn called 8515 by Le Bruit des Aiguilles, who is a French hand dyer in the colorway Autumn is Falling, and I think I only used 26 grams of yarn, so if you've got, you know, leftover, I think it's a really good project for that. The next pattern that I finished is a really big one, a really exciting one, and I no longer have it with me because it was a gift knit that I made for my friend Justine, and that is the Book Club Cardigan by Sari Nordland. I'll put up a few pictures of her and also of me wearing it since I don't have it with me. But this was a pattern that was gifted to me by Sari Nordland for the knit along that I ran along with Sarah from Two Bells in a Pod and Sandra from Ends in Knit back in June of last year. It was really fun experience. I really loved it, and I knitted it using, I've got leftovers actually, which I will talk about also. So I knitted this in yarn that was also gifted to me by the brand, so by Deran Natura. This is Ulysse and Berenice. Ulysse is a sport weight yarn. This is 100% wool in the colorway Poivre et Sel, and Berenice is also Poivre et Sel, but this is a bit different of a silk mohair than usual. This is 55% super kid mohair, 25% silk and 20% wool. This was a really lovely combination. Okay, there'll be a vlog coming up next week of me knitting, the whole process of me knitting this cardigan. And in that vlog, it was kind of my old way of vlogging, so you'll see that I don't really talk to the camera, but I'll try to do a voiceover or something. I haven't figured that out yet. So you won't really get my in-time experience, but there was a point after the summer when I was really struggling to find motivation to work on this, just because it wasn't really for me. It is quite an intense cable knit cardigan, and it was my first true cable cardigan to knit. So then I picked this up, and this is just, you know, a regular, I don't know, 14 row of knitting, and then you just cable one row. So it's not stockinette, but it kind of feels like it, whereas the book club cardigan was a bit more intense. And I knit the sleeves, and those were the hardest to knit in terms of motivation. And then I did the button band, and that just made everything look so much better. I think I should have just knit the button band first before the sleeves, and that would have helped my motivation. But also this wasn't for me, so it's a bit tricky sometimes to keep being motivated, if you know what I mean. And I'm really sad to have parted with it, but my friend is really happy with it. She's been wearing it, and she loves it. I'm not sensitive to mohair or to wool. Don't really usually find them itchy. So I asked my friend how she felt about these, because obviously knitting for someone else, they might find the yarn itchy, and I thought it would be a good way to show you guys how it feels, how this yarn feels. And she says it's not itchy at all. She can wear it next to skin fine. So obviously it also depends on the people. I don't know how, you know, for example, how she would find this. Maybe she wouldn't have an issue with this either. But yeah, she does say that this isn't itchy to her at all. I do find the mohair is very soft. I'll let you know how it actually wears, because she hasn't had it for too long. I think only 2 weeks or something. So shouldn't have too much wear, but we'll see. Maybe in like 6 months or something, I'll try to let you guys know. But yeah, this was a lovely project. I'm kind of sad to not have it with me anymore, but yeah. Okay, here are some things about the pattern that I always forget to mention, but I asked my friend if she wanted the pockets. She didn't, so I didn't need the pockets. I made the body a bit cropped. I think the pattern intends for the body to be a bit cropped, but just so you guys know. And then it's size 2 for the whole back panel, front panel, the body. But for the sleeves, I knitted size 5. So I did go up, and I'm really happy that I did, because even that it wasn't tight, but just, you know, a bit snug. And I ended up ordering more yarn because I thought I would run out. So I bought 2 of the Ulysse and 2 of the Mohair, and these are obviously untouched. And then of the ones that I did touch, I think actually, yeah, I didn't touch any of the Mohair, so that's good. But I think I kind of used my last skein, and then this is how much I've got left of that one skein of Ulysse that I used. So I think if you were to knit the pockets, and if you were to knit, you know, a regular length or even bigger size sleeve, you would definitely need more than the recommended amount. But for me personally, I didn't knit that much more. I don't think that would have been enough for the pockets, so, you know, but I think for the mohair, you can go with just one ball at first. Maybe you'll have to buy another one after that, but this is how much I got left. Just thought I would mention that, because I know a lot of people had trouble with the yardage amount needed. Okay, that's the book club cardigan. Let's move on to the next project that I finished. This is finished, but it's not, the ends aren't woven in, as you can see, and I've just blocked one out of the 2. So let me put this back, because I think I started to weave in the ends and then I was like, I don't really want to do that right now. So, and I blocked one without the ends woven in because I forgot that I hadn't woven in the ends, but I will probably block them again once I do weave them in. In December, I really wanted to have an exciting project that was reminding me of Christmas, but I didn't really have time to knit a whole jumper. And in November, like that was before December, but anyways. And in November, I met up with Paige from Two Bells in a Pod in Paris, and you know, we were chatting and everything. And at one point, she said she wanted to knit some Christmas socks. These were the Home for Christmas socks, and there's another one, but I can't remember the name, by Renarde Endormie, who we discovered when we went to a yarn festival in Lille together. So she fell in love with the patterns. She said, I really want to knit those. Do you want to knit them alongside me? And I was like, absolutely, I do. Even though I had never knit colorwork socks, I had never done colorwork holding 3 strands of colors together. But you know, I'm up for a challenge, and so I knit the Home for Christmas socks. You can probably tell which one is blocked and which one is not. But these are so good. I'm in love. So I started them on the 1st of December, and I think I finished them around the 1st of January, maybe the weekend after that or something. I'm really pleased with them. I would like to be able to weave in the ends in like a second and block them, but there's a lot of ends to weave in. So I'll try to do that tonight. But I think this one is blocked. And the designer says in the pattern, oh, maybe I'll talk about the yarn just quickly before that. I used Filcolana Arwetta in 3 colors. This is how much I've got left of the main color, which was, I think, Hunter Green, 147 maybe. Then I used the white, which is 101, I think, and the red, which I don't remember I think it's 138 or 139, but I'll put it on the screen anyway and in the description box. But these were the colors. I love this yarn. I'm definitely going to use it again for some socks. I already kind of know what I'm going to use these leftover for. We'll see what I figure out with these. Oh, actually I do have this of Ulysse as well. Don't know why it's here, but yeah. So the designer says in the pattern that she doesn't catch floats for less than 8 stitches, so like 9 and above she does. So that means that for this whole part up until around the car, I didn't catch floats. And you can kind of see, I think, where I caught some floats. I don't think that's very neat. Here and here you can definitely see. But for the fact that this is my first pair of colorwork socks holding 3 colors, I think these are pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. These are a tiny bit difficult to put over my... I don't think this is the blocked one. I think this is the blocked one. They're a tiny bit tight to put over my heel, but I can get them over my heel, and also they do stretch a bit, and you know, I don't think they look the neatest on. I'll try next podcast, because I don't think I'll have time this time, to, once I've woven in the ends, block them, to put a picture of me wearing them. So be on the lookout for that on the next podcast, or maybe just on my Instagram as well. But I really loved this. I really loved to knit on this. This was really motivating and really potato chippy. I love that you have instructions on how to increase before you start the colorwork, as well as changing needle size. And then you change again here on smaller needle size and decrease to knit the toe and everything, the heel and everything, which is a heel flap and gusset, which is a really lovely construction. I really like that. I tried to follow a video to avoid having the like pointy bits at the end of the toe, but in doing so I messed up, and I think I have this unraveled stitch which I haven't managed to fix it yet. I'll try to do it again when I weave in the ends, but yeah, that was a bit annoying. But that's fine. So these are my these are my Home for Christmas socks by Renarde Endormie, and I'm definitely gonna make another pair next year, or like this year at the end of the year for Christmas, I think. And then I've got one final finished object. This is quite a lot of finished objects. I'm not usually that productive, but this has been like almost 2 months without filming a podcast. So I mentioned in my winter knitting plans that I really wanted to knit a hood for myself, and I really wanted one, first of all because it's really cold at the moment, and I wanted to have a hand knit scarf that could also be a hood just because it's a bit warmer. And I think I will knit a scarf for myself next winter, but I wanted something that was a bit quick to knit, so I ended up choosing the Sophie Hood by Petite Knit, and I finished it. So you guys have not even seen this as a whip, because I kind of did that quickly. It's still really cold at the moment, so I really wanted to have this done to be able to wear it, and I'm really happy that I did. This isn't blocked. I think I'm just going to steam block it, and I've worn this twice already. I'll put a few pictures or a video of me wearing it, but this is, oh, I love it. I mean, I know it's just the Sophie Hood. It's nothing crazy, but it is really nice, and it's really squishy. I love the yarn I used. So the yarn I used is the recommended yarn, which is Gepard Garn Eco Cashmere Vintage. I knitted it in the colorway 180, I think, brown, and I do have one skein left over. So you know, this is 100% cashmere yarn, and it is 50 grams for about 150 meters. And I do have a little bit left over here as well. I knitted the size medium for the Sophie Hood. Just if you don't know, the hood in itself is the same size for every size range in the pattern. It's just the length that differs. I haven't measured mine, so maybe I should. But I think I've got the size that I wanted, which is the medium. However, for the medium, you're supposed to knit 4 skeins, and I didn't even tap into my 4th. So I think maybe that's because she assumes that you make a swatch, which obviously I don't do for a scarf. I did go up a needle size from the pattern, so I think it's supposed to be 5, and I went 5.5. So maybe that's why, but then I think when you do that, because you're a tight knitter, you usually use more yarn than recommended, so I don't know. I really followed the pattern and everything. Maybe my hood is also a bit smaller, but I don't think so. So I don't know what happened, but that means I've got one full skein left over, which is a bit annoying because when I bought the yarn, I had one skein left over in my stash from a previous Sophie shawl that I made for my aunt like 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago. And so I really wanted to just use the same yarn, and I originally wanted to just buy 2 skeins because this is an expensive yarn, but I really wanted the size medium because I thought the size small wouldn't be as warm and wouldn't be as easy to tie. But yeah, didn't use that one, so I'll keep this one. I'll probably knit a small Sophie scarf for a gift sometime this year. I think that's gonna be nice, but just, yeah, didn't use that. I forgot to include the price point, or like to tell you the price point of every single one of those projects, so I'll put it on the screen right now. I'm still really pleased with the fact that I did it, and as I said, I've worn it twice or even 3 times already, and it is really nice. It's really warm. The hood is a bit small. It's not small when I wear it with my hair down, but if I wear it with my hair up, first of all, it looks weird, so don't do that, but also it it kind of pulls back, which I think is how it's supposed to be, because you're supposed to wear it with your hair down. But if you have quite big curly hair, maybe try to figure out a way to make the hood a bit bigger. The construction of this is very simple. You start at one end, you increase for a while until you reach a certain amount of centimeters in width. So even if your gauge is off, it doesn't really matter in terms of stitches, it just matters in terms of centimeters, which is great. And then you knit the hood flat using increases, which I thought it would be German chartreuse, so I was surprised by that. And then once you reach the point of the hood, you start decreasing, and then, or it's the other way around maybe. Decreases first and then increases, and then once you reach the same point, then you start the decreases on the other side to end up with your pointy bit. And then at the very end you do a mattress stitch, which mine I think doesn't look the neatest, especially here on the inside, but it works and it's fine. Nobody's gonna look at the back of my head, so I think it's still really cute. And I'm really happy with it. This was kind of a spontaneous cast on, but a really good one, and I'm really pleased to have finished this so quickly so that I can wear it whilst it's still cold. That's 30 minutes of finished objects, and we have quite a lot of whips to go through, so let's just go through them. Again, I'll try to go through these in chronological order. So I think the oldest one is my Cashmere Beanie. This is a pattern by Gregoria Fibers that I knit using the recommended yarn, which is Classic by Cardiff Cashmere in the colorway Brown Natural. I think it's 511. Let me check. This is the skein. Yeah, 511. And I put a progress keeper on the beanie to show you the progress that I made, but I haven't touched this in like 3 weeks or something because I wanted to finish the Sophie Hood. So this, like, the Sophie Hood was my project, like on the go and everything, but this is where I was last time, and I knit, I want to say like about 10 centimeters maybe. So we're still not done. This is really dragging on. I am apparently unable to finish a beanie in like 2 weeks. That's just not in my DNA. I would rather apparently knit a pair of fingering weight colorwork socks than a beanie. But I really want this. This is really lovely. The yarn is amazing, very squishy. I think the beanie is going to be really cute, but I just don't finish it. Anyways, I'm on my second skein and I've got a third one, which I think will be plenty, but we'll see when I finish it. This isn't a priority and I'll try to finish it this winter, but who knows. This is a twisted rib beanie that you knit from the bottom up to the top of the head. I don't remember the crown decreases, but I'll put a picture obviously, and it does have like a triple folded brim, which is why it's taking ages. Then let's talk a little bit about my porcelain sweater. So actually I've got my swatch, so this is the porcelain sweater. Obviously this is just my swatch, but I'm gonna re-knit this swatch, which we'll talk about in a minute. This is a pattern by Lene Holme Semse. It's a very popular drop shoulder colorwork design that you start knitting flat. Obviously for the back panel you knit flat and then you pick up stitches for the shoulders. You knit flat as well, the shoulders separately, and then once you reach the same amount as the back approximately, you do joining around and knitting around for the rest of the design. You have options to knit with German chartreuse or not. I think at the top of the shoulder, maybe at the back, but I can't really remember. I think the back is made with increases, which are a bit different than the usual increases. I am knitting this in Tynn Gynt in the colorway white, which is 1002, and Soft Silk Mohair by Knitting for Olive. Tynn Gynt is by Sandnes Garn, and it is 100% Norwegian wool, and it is 2 0.05 meters for 50 grams, and I'm pairing it with Soft Silk Mohair by Knitting for Olive in the colorway Cream, which is 70% mohair, 30% silk, 225 meters for 25 grams. That's for my main color, and then for the contrast color, I'm knitting this with Olivia and Olivia Fibers Endless Autumn Collection Organic Merino in the colorway Foliage, held with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Dusty Olive, which is kind of here because I've had to frog. So this is how much I got done on the back panel before I stopped. So I think I had a bit more than what I shown you guys the last time. I mean, it's a bit tricky to show because it does roll a bit, but I had started the color work. But I started to knit the color work part in this chart. This is this one, ignore this. But I started to knit this and it was looking great. But I think I started the chart at the wrong point, and so my stitches were a bit off-centered. And so I ripped that back and then put it aside. And I really wanted to pick it back up, but I've since decided that I think the color work looks a bit too see-through. And I don't love that, and so I want to make another swatch. Is it too see-through though? Okay, I'm not sure, but I might make another swatch in smaller needle size and choose to knit a size up in the pattern to compensate for the fact that my tension is tighter. And so I think when I did my first swatch, I was using 4.5 millimeter, which is already a needle size up or half a needle size up for the stockinette, and then I went up to a 5.5 millimeter for the color work. And I think I had the same number of stitches for those, so that was, I think, 24 stitches for 10 centimeters, but that was still, I think the pattern says 21 stitches, or the other way around, can't remember. So I swatched again with 5 millimeter for the stockinette and 6 millimeter for the color work, and I think that's why it's looking a little bit see-through, but I don't think it's too bad now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So if you think this is too see-through, like, or if you think this looks fine, let me know. I am knitting this in the size large because I do want a bit more positives than, or like I want this amount of positives that the pattern shows in the pattern pictures but doesn't really have in the pattern instructions. If I go down in needle size, I might go up to a size extra large, which I do have plenty of yarn of, except for this mohair. I think I would need to maybe buy more. But the Tynn Gynt, I've got like 10 skeins because originally I was going to use it for the no frills cardigan, which I do still want to make, but just this is too, my gauge is too tight, so I need another yarn. And the contrast color I think I've got enough of, so maybe I'll just make my swatch and figure out what I do. But let me know if you have any clues. Otherwise, I was kind of unmotivated to work on this because of how see-through I thought the pattern was, but I am really excited to have this project. Okay, that's the porcelain. Let's move on to the one that I've got most progress on, and I think in my last podcast this was only yarns that I was showing you. This is my red sweater. So I'm using Gynt in the colorway Poppy. This is a yarn by Sandnes Garn. This is more true to color. This is the same as Tynn Gynt, but just DK weight gauge, and it is 91 meters for 50 grams, and it's in the colorway 4002 Poppy, which I think is a petit nip colorway. Yeah, this is a really lovely red, and I'm using it to knit the Sandro Pullover by Knitting Phlegm. She's over here on YouTube as well as Instagram and Ravelry. and this is her first design, which I'm test knitting for her, which I'm really happy about. The test knit is due in like 3 weeks, and I've still got quite a bit to go before that, but I think I'm on a good path. Please ignore all of the cat hair on this because my sister's cat is being really cute but really cuddly, and she's always on my knees whilst I'm knitting on this, and so it's got a lot of cat hair, but oh, it's kind of blowing out. But this is the Sandro Pullover by Knitting Flame. This is a, I think, European shoulder construction. So you start at the back. Do you do some, I think there's German chartreuse in the back panel, and then when you pick up for the shoulders, you do have some German chartreuse as well to shape the top of the shoulders. And then, you know, you reach, oh, this is better. Oops, lost the yarn. And then, you know, you join in under the neckline, and then once you've finished the front panel, you join under the arms, and then you knit. So I'm just started the ribbing, which is really exciting. I'm hoping to finish the ribbing in the next couple of days, hopefully tomorrow, so that I can then move on to the sleeves. So I've basically got 2 weeks to finish the body and both sleeves, which I think should be fine. And I would like to have a few days before the true deadline to block it and for it to dry. I'll put a few pictures and clips of me wearing this. I think this is so good. I'm really happy with the color. I was kind of worried just because the hole was really big before doing the neckline, so I was like, oh, is this going to be too wide? But I think it's perfect, and there is a bit of a bump, which you'll probably see in the video when I wear it here. I think because the neckline kind of pulls, it's a bit too tight. You know, you pick up a few less stitches, so it's a bit tight, but the designer said that when you block it, it's absolutely fine, and I think it will block out fine, because when I wear it, you kind of see it, but if I pull on it, it disappears. This has been really lovely to work on. It's not been my priority in December, so that's why it's kind of not close to being done, but you know, closer. And I really want to finish this and wear it. I love the cable. This is, you know, very classic Ralph Lauren looking cable design, and I love this red sweater, and I think it suits me, hopefully. And I'm even honestly considering knitting this again, but with a fingering and a mohair, maybe. Not like right now, but I think we'll see when I finish it, but I think this might happen. This is going to be my priority over the next 2 weeks, but I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to finish it. One more whip. I've talked about this project for a while, and I finally cast it on. So I wanted initially to cast it on my birthday, which if you've seen vlogs during Vlogmas, you'll know that that was a bad idea, because I just had to frog what I did and start over. And when I did start over, I misread my stitches, and I've got 10 less stitches than intended, but I'm not starting again. I'm just gonna wing it. I think it's gonna be fine. So this is the Charlie Pullover by LeKnit. It's not looking like much right now, but we'll talk about a bit more about it. This is a top-down saddle shoulder construction with a color. I don't know what it's called, but a really nice color, and I'm really excited for this project. So I'll talk quickly about the yarn before I dive into the pattern itself. But I am using Ulysse by Durham Natura. This one I bought myself even before I worked with them, in the colorway Amarante, which is a sport weight, and the pattern recommends a fingering weight and a mohair, but because my gauge is usually tight, I chose to use a bigger, heavier yarn. I'm hoping I have enough yarn for it. If not, I'll just have to buy maybe 1 or 2 more. But I'm pairing this with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Bordeaux. which I think is a good match. It kind of marls a little bit, but it's really lovely and it is really soft. The combination is amazing. And so I cast this on. This is a bit of an interesting construction. Honestly, I don't think it's for beginners because you do start off with a Gynt's Magic cast on, which you then knit this flat bit here, and then you pick up stitches in the middle of that cast on, which is why I've got that white yarn here, because you have to know where to pick up the stitches to knit the color. So that is the double knit. Sorry, I'm kind of tied to 4 balls of yarn. So that's the beginning of the double knit color. So this is basically, I think, how it's gonna be. Something like that. So you can see that even though I've got 10 less stitches, I think the size is fine. Because my gauge was a bit bigger or tighter, I had 11 centimeters instead of 10 centimeters for the amount of stitches. But I chose to go with it anyway and stick to that needle size because I liked the drape of the fabric, and even if it ends up with a bit more positives, I don't mind, which means that me forgetting to 10 stitches is fine, I think. And after I'm done with the color, so you kind of knit the color that way and then you bind off using Italian bind off, so the color is, you know, kind of finished, and then you pick up again your stitches here that are on hold. You can see I've put needle cable stopper, don't know what that's called. So I'll pick up here again, and I think I don't really remember, but I'll basically have to bind off, oh no, I'll have to decrease some stitches, so I'll just decrease a bit less, and then I think you basically start knitting the saddle shoulders rectangle. Don't know in which order or anything. I've not gone that deep into the pattern, but it is a very interesting construction. I'm really eager to knit more on this, but yesterday when I realized that I just had 2 more weeks to finish my Sandro Pullover, I was like, yeah, I can't really afford to work on that. So I'll pick this back up once the Sandro Pullover is finished, but I'm really excited for it. And yeah. So that's a lot of whips. I do have some acquisitions to talk through, but not a whole lot. Obviously, I had the Eco Cashmere Vintage by Garn, so I did buy 3 skeins of that, which was really expensive. But I didn't really buy anything else in terms of yarn, but I do have some acquisitions. So first of all, I got a set of the Shagu Shorty needles, interchangeable, which I got for free because I used a gift card that I have from work that I bought on Amazon. And so this comes in like this. So you do have some, I think, from 3.5 to 5mm needles, and then you have 2 size needle points. And I use them for sleeves, and they're a game changer. I'm gonna be honest. It is a little bit tricky at first, but then you get used to it. And then in the set you have 3 different cable size, and I really enjoy them so far. So I haven't used them a bunch. I've used them for the sleeves of my book club cardigan, which really helped keeping me motivated, and I used them for something else. Can't have. No, I think that's it. But I am about to use them for the Sandro Pullover. So love those. Then I won a giveaway, which never happens, so I was really happy about it. I won a giveaway by Bichebuche. So I got this yarn for free, but not because I'm a content creator, just because I won the giveaway. So I won the giveaway to knit the Mathilde Mittens by Bichebuche. So I got the pattern. This is how they look. I'll try to include a picture. And I got the yarn. So I chose to knit it in, I mean, I didn't get to choose the yarn itself, but I chose the colors. So it was in Le Petit Lamb's Wool, in the colorway Écru for the white, and Burgundy Grey for the red. This is 100% lamb's wool, and it is 50 grams for about 248 meters. And I really love how that looks. I can't wait to knit them. I am gonna make some modifications on the pattern. I don't love the end of the mittens. I want them to be more triangular as normal colorwork mittens are, and I think I want to add some Latvian braids around the cuff. I think that's gonna look really pretty. So I want to finish my Sandro Pullover and maybe even my Cashmere Beanie before I start any new accessory, but I think these are going to be next because I'm really excited to knit something else in colorwork. I'm really excited to have some colorwork mittens, and I'm excited to use this yarn because I've never used it and I was always so curious about it, and I was, you know, I know that someday I'll probably use it for a sweater because I would really like to try it, but I'm excited to try it for mittens first because I can see how it feels. When I touch it, it is a tiny bit rustic, but it is soft. It's not a soft yarn. I wouldn't call that a soft yarn, but I don't think I will find it itchy. But yeah, I love this. So thank you, Bishabush, for, you know, gifting me this, even though I just commented on your post. But I'm really happy with that. And the next sort of acquisitions that I have is my advent calendar, but I did buy that early March last year. I'll put a picture of all of the colors, and you guys know that I want to knit the Stella Quilt blanket with that, so I'll do that. I'll have to buy the main color yarn, which I haven't done yet, but right now I've got too much going on to focus on that, so we'll see a little bit later. And then the last acquisition that I've got isn't particularly knitting related, but I am going to use it for a knitting related thing. Anyways, I bought a notebook because I want to make a knitting journal, which I am really excited about and which I'm going to vlog. So if you're curious about how that's going to look or anything, do subscribe so you can see. I've done some journaling before. I usually do it for books, so I've got a reading journal, and I really wanted to have a knitting journal so that I can have a place where I have all of the information about the knit, how I feel about it, how I find how much I wear it or not, the process, and just, you know, a bit of the yarn, which needle size I use, some specs and everything. But I want to have it in a aesthetic way because I just think it'll be nicer to look back on. So I've printed some pictures of, you know, projects I've made. So for example, I've got my Hibernal DK socks, or I've got, you know, picture of the sweater number 18 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and then the picture of my version. So yeah, I want to dedicate some time to that, and I think it's going to be a great thing to look back on in like a few years time and to have it with me. So I'm really excited. So that's going to be a vlog that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, when I do start it. This notebook is from Yop and Tom, a company that I found on Amazon. I usually buy either LeKnit or Archer and Olive, which I really love. I've got for my reading journal, I've got Archer and Olive, but they're, I think, from Canada, and so they do take a bit more time to come in. I just wanted this to arrive quickly to finally start it, so that's going to be the one that I use, and it's got this cute drawing on the cover. So yeah, I think that's it. That's a lot, but took me a bit less time than I thought. I hope you are all well. I hope you had a lovely holidays. Obviously now it's like 3 weeks later, so you know, but I hope you still had a lovely holidays if you do celebrate, or just had a bit of time off to relax and knit. Let me know what you're currently knitting on. I would love to know. Let me know what I should do with my porcelain sweater, and if you take, like me, 3 weeks, or if it takes you, like me, 3 weeks to even ends on colorwork socks. And yeah, I think that's it. So Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!